What up, y'all? It's your boy. I'm here, once again with another shorty. And this one's about, I guess about a couple of weeks ago or so. It was a Facebook post. I forgot who posted it, but it was talking about um, who was Milford's rivals. And they were talking about, I guess, kind of like how things are today. Like now, I think Milford and Woodlawn got this thing going on. Um, uh, but back when we were in high school, back in the early to mid '90s, the teams that Milford plays now, we didn't play those teams back then. Like now, Milford's playing like the Woodlawns and the Randallstowns and these big, the bigger schools because Milford has gotten kind of bigger. But when we were there, Milford was considered one of the smaller high schools. So we used to play schools that were like out in the boondocks. Like we played like the Franklins and the Overleys and Sparrows Point, Chesapeake and Kenwood. These schools like that. They were like nowhere near Milford. Like you could drive from Milford to Woodlawn in like 5 or 10 minutes. If that. It's just a quick jump on the highway, go down one stop, and boom, you're right there at Woodlawn. Or Randallstown. Randallstown ain't but 10, 15 minutes away from Milford. But when we were in high school, when you went on a road trip, you went on a road trip. Because it's like all the schools that we played back then were nowhere near Milford. These schools were just way out there. You're talking about the Perry Halls, and you're talking about Kenwood and Chesapeake and Sparrows Point. These schools is like you go on this 45-minute to an hour drive to get to these schools. So a couple schools that we had dealings with that was really far, and a couple schools I specifically remember being there. One was Hereford. We used to play Hereford High. And I remember being in the marching band, we would play for the games. And so to take that bus trip from Milford to Hereford, and Hereford High School is like you almost in Pennsylvania going up there. And the thing about that school was that, first of all, the school itself is just shaped weird. I mean, it just looked weird to me going up to Hereford High School like at night, because it just looked like a scary, like you at a haunted house or something. The school was just shaped weird. And then what was even weirder was that it was like where the football field was at. Like when you get there, the football field is like you can't even see the school building from like the football field. You up here at night and you pull up and it's like you got this parking lot and then they got the staircase that goes up to the football field, similar to how it is at Milford. Walking up the staircase on Washington Avenue, walking up to the football field. It's similar to that at Hereford. And you get up there and it's like you got the stadium, but it's nothing but woods around it. It's like no houses around there. You can't see the school. It's just woods in the middle of nowhere at night. I used to hate going up there, man. It's just like it's like you don't know if you're gonna make it out of here alive or not. It was crazy up Hereford. And then it took forever to get there. Because like I said, Hereford's way up 83. Like you on your way to PA going to Hereford. So that was one. And the other one, which I think was our rival back then, was Overley. And one thing, Overley to me was just another school that was just too far away for Milford to be playing. Overley High School is like almost in like Sedonia. Overley High School is like almost East Baltimore. I mean, it's like I bet you it's kids that go to Overley and in their neighborhoods, if you live like in one block, you go to Overly. But if you live like maybe just across the street or just a block down the street, you'd be going to like Thurgood Marshall High School, which is in East Baltimore. So no wonder it was kind of, everybody I know that went to Overly is like, like these street, thorough people. And I can see why, because of where Overly is located, like in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know what county that is supposed to be, where Overly is. And it's back up in the neighborhood, in the middle of nowhere, in my opinion. Like I said, I mean, you right there in Sedonia. I mean, it's like Moravia Road is just like a couple blocks down the street from where Overly is. Like, how was this a county school? So I mean, and I know Milford and Overly used to get at it, in sports, and I think things got a little rough between those two schools when we used to play them back in the day, and I understand why. They was on one, and I guess, probably half the students there probably did live in East Baltimore. So it's like you got this county school going up against a bunch of East Baltimore people that probably viewed us as like these county dudes out here, you ain't coming to our house embarrassing us. Y'all county dudes, but y'all county dudes too. Y'all just a lot closer to Baltimore City, what Milford was. But I always remember those two schools, Hereford and Overly. I don't think Hereford was a rival. It's just that if Hereford was just so far away, and just the way that school was designed, I couldn't imagine going to that place every day. And then Overly is like, in East Baltimore, but it's in the county. And I remember we went in there one time. One time we had a band competition there. This was like concert band one year. And we had a concert band competition, and it was at Overly. And I remember we went in there, and me and a couple of my bandmates, we were there early. And so we had did our band warm-ups or whatever, and then we had some time between the practice and the actual competition. So maybe 3 or 4 of us, we just started walking around Overly and got lost in the building, literally got lost in their school. And it took us a while to be able to find the band room, because we didn't know where we were at. For whatever reason, they didn't lock the school down. So we was in there for a competition, but like usually the janitors will like cut off certain parts of the school because it's nighttime. So you don't have to have every area of the school unlocked. They usually have just the areas that is going to be occupied unlocked. Well, they had the whole school. It was wide open. They didn't lock anything. So we were just walking around the school and got lost up in the school. And by the time we was able to find that band room, they was literally packing up, getting ready to walk on stage. We had just made it because we had went so deep up in that school. We didn't know where we were. We went up on different floors and everything. So like I said, Overly, and like I said, it was like a little beef between Milford and Overly back in those days. But yeah, I just wanted to drop that one on y'all. The people that say, the kids that go to Milford now would probably say that Woodlawn is their rival. I understand that, the proximity, a lot of the shared neighborhoods between the two schools, that plays a factor. You got people from Woodmore. Half of Woodmore is at Woodlawn, the other half is at Milford. You got Canfield, so I understand, I understand it from that perspective. But we didn't play, like I said, back then, we didn't play Woodlawn. Back when we was in high school, back in the early to mid 90s. We played all these schools that were just out in the boondocks. It took 45 minutes to an hour to get there. As opposed to how y'all got it now, where y'all can play these schools in a road trip, even a 15, 20-minute drive, if that. So it's more localized now because of the growth of Milford. But Milford, when we were there, was a smaller school, and we helped build that school up to what it is now. So we had to deal with all those schools in the boondocks. So we had to travel to the outskirts of the county, go Dundalk High School, Overly schools that ain't nowhere near Milford. We had to go on the road and go play them. And we got some championships to show for it too. So that's it for today. I just want to drop that one on you. Back in the early days, I think Overly was our rival. Today, it might be Woodlawn. So that's it for now. All right, I'm out.